If you have been enjoying Edinburgh Business Stories and you want to keep up to date with some of the new episodes we've got coming out every other week, then why not subscribe? The stories, the guests we have are absolutely incredible and we wouldn't want you to miss out. Ross, Craig, great to have you on.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. So give us some context who you are and what your business is.
So I'm Ross. I'm Craig. And we've got Dofos, the pet shops.
Great. And tell us number of stores, where are you at?
So yeah, third generation pet shop owners. Four stores.
Bricks and mortar stores.
But
also
online, wholesale, everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And about 30 odd staff.
Right.
Amazing. So take us back. So you said it's family business. Let's go back to the beginning. How did you guys get into the dog business?
So history of the shop was founded in 1953 by a Danish family, the Maritsons. Then my nana started working there in 1985. She retired in 2000 and she got the offer to purchase it, I think, in 2009.
Yeah, she bought it off them 2009.
And then my mum took over and then we took over in 2016.
Yeah, so 2015, she sold that iconic building on top of Elm Row, and we moved down Leaf Walk. It was a fresh start. She moved abroad, and we started again in a tiny little shop.
Proper fresh start.
Like I painted that shop on New Year's Day, and it was -4. And I remember put the red paint. I had to heat it up.
I always remember that. It was like tacky when you were putting it on it as well.
It was
didn't
that
even
cold.
go on.
I had
that
to heat
cold.
up the paint to put it on the building. It was the worst time of my life.
And no income as well, because there was no shop open.
Yeah.
So it was a rush to get it on.
Yeah.
So you're saying your nan started working in the business in 1985?
Yeah.
And the business at that point had been going for about 30 years from the
Maritsons. They had like a factory. They used to like produce cat food and dog food for like Whiskas and other companies. And they had a range of stores, I think Stockbridge, Christophin. They had a few. Eventually it all came back down. They just had that one.
Right. Okay.
And then, went passed down to my nana.
Great. And so when they were, was it always their intention to buy it? Was that part of their plan? Do you know? Or was it just like, we
I don't even
need
know,
to keep
be
our
honest.
job?
I'm not sure. I think they got offered it, and they used to rent that building as well. So they got offered the business, took the business, and then they got offered the building later on.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was like, well, what else would we do if we don't do it? And then my granddad came into the business as well. He had a roofing firm.
Did he, right?
Yeah. So and then he came in.
Okay. So the business then was called what back then?
It was always Dofos, but I think the trading name was Dog Foods Edinburgh Limited.
Yeah.
That's why it was shortened to Dofos.
Yeah. So you as kids then, do you remember the shop being a part of your lives?
Always.
Always.
So my gran had Dofos. We used to go in there quite often, and we were sort of brought up in that shop. And my mum used to manage pets at home. So we were half and half. We were in there after school, and then in there we used to help our granddad do deliveries, and he used to pick us up for school in the van. We used to have to help out and stuff. So we were always put to use.
Yeah. Did you guys have pets growing up?
Yeah.
Loads?
Nah, not lots.
It wasn't like Noah's Ark or anything. It was like
I think it's different as well. You have a sort of different, like when they sell pets. So like you see them in the store, and then you see new stuff. We didn't take much home, if that makes sense, because we had it in the store. And then my mum managed pets at home, and they had loads.
Loads of
we didn't have much. We just had a dog.
And so have the stores ever sold animals then?
Yeah. So when we took over, the first thing we done was stop selling animals.
Well, that's something we wanted to do was stop selling animals, but you look at your ballot, your sheet, and you think, well, that's like 25-30% of our trade. So, right, we can't just stop it because obviously it'd be business suicide. Like you just wipe 30% off your...
Yeah.
But prior to us taking over, there was obviously a decline in the business.
Right.
Which is why everything ended the way it did.
Right.
But so when we were taking over, we kind of knew that the full company needed a rebrand. Too much, like almost to the point where it could have changed name we thought that it needed that much of a rebrand. It needed identity. It needed everything changed. Everything changed. Selling animals as well was one of the ones that didn't quite sit right for a while. It was, for me, when you're taking over, you want to do something yourself. And I was kind of thinking, like, the sale of animals kind of needs to stop at the base level. Take away any form of impulse purchasing, anything like that. I think it should go back to breeders and specialists, and that's where it comes from.
You can't manage it at scale as well. You try to sell animals ethically to the right people, make sure they're well equipped for them. Well, obviously, when we were younger, we were driven and we would think, okay, if we had more stores, how would you manage that? Like, how would you manage to do that correctly? I didn't see there was a way we could do that correctly. So it just didn't sit well with us to have them in the shops. And I thought, like, we need to change this for our vision of the store anyway. We need to change this and make sure we're doing everything right as far as we thought was what was right going forward. So yeah, it was definitely one of our first moves was to try to get that business, the business to make more money, to get that out.
To get out. And again, forgive my ignorance here, but in terms of the breadth of animals that the business previously had been selling, was it just cats and dogs, or was it, what was it?
It was never dogs.
It was never
dogs.
Kittens to parrots to different rodents to rabbits, and but there was a lot.
Need a lot of space for a dog, eh?
Yeah.
That's the other thing.
Also, at this point, we were only like part of the business for about a fifth of its life.
Yeah.
Like, we went, well, we're not 70-year-old. So
yeah.
So trying to, like, when you have these ideas and you think, okay, this is what needs to happen, but how do you actually do it? We were probably naive to that because we were young, and it was a business that went through turmoil. So we were sort of spat out the other end, a little tiny shop we opened. I'm like, right, here we go. There was a lot of planning actually, because we used to drive the van to cash and carry every morning at 4 a.m. to Glasgow to pick up stock, to then stock the shelves, to then do deliveries after work and then repeat it the next day. So I think that was our office, the van.
Why did you have to go to Glasgow? Was that the only place?
It was the only big cash and carry for pet stuff.
Was it really?
Yeah.
So we'd be there at 4, well, 5, but leave you at 4. And that would be the office. We were in the van. I'd want to do this way. I'd want to implement this. So that's where the planning sort of started for the store.
And how old were you then when you both took over the business?
20.
20, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right. So how did you learn?
The thing is you learn a lot from what you see.
Yeah.
So I would say prior to this time, so basically 2008 trams. Was it 2008 trams? I mean, everybody knows what it done to Leith. Took a massive hit. And I think that was one of the main catalysts on why the business folded prior to us taking over. Massive decline. So there was also, you seen what the company needed. You could see what the company didn't have then. Didn't have online. At a time where Amazon and stuff's coming up, like all e-commerce was coming at that point, and you were not part of the party. You're still expecting people to come out and park on a double yellow, or pick up a phone and make an order when they can just push a button. So you kind of seen what the company needed to survive then, but you had no resources to be able to do it. You seen that you needed destination brands, rebrand. You needed, there was a massive influx of people like Ross and I, which were younger, which were seeing through labelling, understanding natural products, a desire for natural products going forward. But we couldn't implement that.
We also had no systems. We weren't doing retail very well. So even though it was a traditional store, and you have a family business which you just get laxed in. So everyone just comes in, you open the shop, you close the shop, repeat. The stock comes in, you order things. But there's no systems in to look at the data and look at what's selling. It's just all gut feel. And obviously we were young, so you go and you tell your mum and things, I think we should be doing this. She'd be like, we've done this for years. You know what I mean? There's always that. And you don't want to, You don't want to come in because we didn't really know. We just thought like things need to change, and this is the trajectory we need to go on. So yeah, you don't want to go and start, arguing with your family,
especially when times are already quite tense.
Yeah.
Because we've seen it, so it's never really easy. But going back to the labelling aspect of it, is that nowadays people will happily turn around a bag and look at the analytics on it and see what's in it. But the front of the bag, they can still jazz up as much as they want. So most of the pet food in the UK is owned by the big three. So Mars, Nestle, Colgate. They own pretty much all of it. But when you come to sort of jazzing up the packaging on the front, and when the marketer kind of get a grip of it, if something says high in whatever meat, so chicken, beef, lamb, it only has to have a minimum of 14% on it.
Really?
And if they say it's with that protein, so if it's this bag's with chicken, it only has to have a minimum of 4% in it.
Right.
And flavoured with 0. So you think that you're buying a good quality food. Oh, that's high in chicken. Well, it's not. It's only 14%.
Yeah.
And this is where we noticed that there was people with a similar sort of outlook to this than us, than we do, that wanted these products. They wanted better products. They wanted clean products that you can transparent. But that's when we got the opportunity in 2016 to really try and make this sort of natural, healthy brand.
Yeah, which was difficult because we opened a new store and we pretty much said everything we know and sell and all the customers we do have for X, like this brand or that brand, we're not stocking them. We're not doing the brand. We're just going to go cold turkey and do it our way. And if it fails, it fails. But at least we've done it the way we wanted to do it from the start. So only do good products, which are transparently good. It give value to customer because we don't have to be good salespeople then because we have good products or the business doesn't have to be good at marketing that well because it is what it is. It is good. So just chuck them all out. And so we had so many customers. I think we changed the phone number actually from up there to the new store. So we were still doing deliveries for people who didn't even know we'd changed. So I think we were, or moved, because they didn't really care. I mean, they would always phone up for delivery. They were never coming in the store, so it didn't really matter. Yeah. But we had to tell people, well, we don't do that anymore. This is why. And then, we went from there. That sort of took over the whole mindset of the company.
But we were also rock bottom at this point.
Yeah.
We were skint. Like Ross always says, we were that skint that the seagulls used to open the window and chuck bread in.
Brilliant.
So we had nothing to lose. We were like, we're just going to do it.
Yeah.
Like full hog. Try it. If it fails, it fails. But I don't think it will. And let's just go.
If it does, it does. I think that's being young though as well. Like you care so much, and you don't think you think, well, that office is going to work. It's good. Like it's the best idea in the world to use it. So you're just going to go for it. So we did.
Right.
And I had a dog at that point. And he was, well, I've still got him, but he was like a puppy. And the rule that came in was, if I feed it to Royston, I'll stock it. That's it.
Trialed everything. And then I think the progression for there was I always wanted systems and data because I was like, well, we always used to have arguments in the store. And like, that sells really well. Like, how do you know? Like how do you know? Like you don't really know if that's your best customer. And I think in retail, like 90% of people, if you say who's your best customer, they'd get it wrong without looking at the data.
100%, because what they associate is the most visible customer. So the customer that's in every day, or maybe passes going to work or anything like that. They'll say, I see them all the time. They must be our best. When it's not. Just now, it's probably someone in London.
Yeah.
So we bought an EPOS system. I remember we looked at EPOS systems, right? And the guy came up to do a demo. And I was like, you don't need to do a demo. I watched a 4-hour video on the A to Z of that system. And I was like, just leave it. I'll do it. It's fine. So we talked about it. And he's like, do you know that? I was like, I watched 4 hours. I was into it. I was like, I need to know everything about this. This is going to make us rich. This is going to make us rich. So we just sat and leafed for a fancy till for a while.
But it made our life a lot easier. So like before, when we were taking deliveries, we were all by paper, sort of triplicate books.
Yeah.
So if we were, so basically on a Monday or a Saturday, if we got the catalogues through from the wholesalers that we would drive through to pick up the stock to bring back, if there was a product on there which was on offer, like a good deal, like maybe a price mark bag or something, we would be writing the triplicate books, we'd be finding everyone that bought it, phoning them. I'd be like, oh, I've got this stuff coming on offer, do you want any? And go right through. And that was what we done for 8, but we'd also have to wait. This is when card machines took like 3 days to reconcile. So you'll go, oh, I'll get you that delivered. It might not be until Friday or the week after. Because we had to wait till the money coming.
So we'd be like, right, that's a good deal. Right, phone them. Right, we've sold like 20 today, and this was like great for us.
Oh.
And we're like, right, but we can't afford them till Tuesday.
We had no money.
So we'll get you that. We'll get a pay now. That's no problem. Put it all through, and at the end of the phone call, but right, we'll see you on Friday.
Where did you develop that? You've kind of just shared with us that some of the changes that you've made. Even the kind of the tough calls to stop selling animals, to kind of stop some of the products.
Yeah.
Systems and data, and then that sales instinct about getting the money in and then go and buy the.
I think
loads. Where'd you get all that from?
I think that just came from being rooked.
Yeah.
Like, literally,
Necessity driving.
I think this like, okay, what do we do? And it was like me and him would go, right, like, we could do this, we could do that, we could do that. Like, let's just do it. Like, I think this, when you're young and I don't know. I know maybe it was only like a couple £100, but see when you're in a store and there's 2 years and you get that sale, I don't think that ever leaves you.
That never leaves you.
And you're like,
even now.
It's harder now. It doesn't matter like if your business does X amount in one day now. It's like, it's not as good as that.
When you say when you get the sale, you give us an example of a sale that you've celebrated.
Anything. But the thing just now is that was always a buzz, right?
Right, yeah.
Fast forwarding now is, we own about in excess of 60% of what we sell. So see, nowadays when we can go straight from source, design something, get it manufactured, get it on a container, get it over the water, put it in your shops, and then selling it.
That's not as good as when you're in a cafe and you see someone with something you.
We were in Glasgow.
And you say, I made that. And it's one of our brands, and it's good quality, and you know, like, it's a good product, and that person's like, I made that. It's wild.
But yeah, that was the best. The days, 2015, 2016, 17, they were the best days ever.
Is that right?
Just both of us, that shop, no life, working all the time. But you could see the progression. You had identity then. You were kicking out the big brands. You had, we call it destination brands, but basically you put it in, no one else can get it. You've got security around the area on it. Then you jump behind it, and then you sell people into it, and then coming back for it.
You retain a customer pretty well. Like,
retention is really important.
I just need to know like what a retention rate is, which our like average customer life is, and try to dial in. My thing was get something that we can gather data. I mean, the biggest thing for us was like, okay, we're writing, as I say, we were dyslexic, so we had triplicate books. Customers must have looked at these. I mean, if someone says, my name's Evelyn, I was sweating. Yvonne.
Where'd I put the Y?
Wait, I'm like, okay, right. I'll just put like E and then dot in the second name because I didn't want to offend it. And it was like, and someone goes, what's that postcode, Ross? And you go, I don't actually know. It was written that badly sometimes, and you go, like, this is no good for customer perception, because even though it's not a big issue, like, it still doesn't look great or scribbled on a bit. So I remember saying, we'll get this system in and we can take a delivery within, instead of 3 minutes, because we timed how long it took us to write it all down. And it would take us now 33 seconds, like, because you just go, that customer, it's all on account, and it prints them off, blah, blah, blah. And I remember going, that's us. We've made it. We receipt printed out, and that was us. Game changed. And it went from there. So we just started implementing technology. I knew technology would have to be at the root of our company. And it still is to this day. We've changed systems twice. And I remember having to go in to tell the whole team, like, we're changing all the systems. And they're like, no. And it's always been for the better.
Yeah. Just because a job's time consuming or expensive doesn't put us off having to do it.
Yeah.
If you know the solution, you do that the best way you can.
And they hate it.
Yeah.
Well, that's it, right? Change is
but
never
they always
never
go,
fun.
it's so much better now. But at this time when you're going in, you go, see all that system we just got. I remember we bought all new EPOSes for all the shops, and a month later I'm sitting in my bed and going, I'm going to have to change it. Oh, I bought, I think they were like a lot of money. I had to like literally just chuck them out.
Why? What had happened?
Well, the way we moved e-com and we were moving into like more warehouse and stuff, our integration wasn't, it wouldn't be as smooth. It would take a lot of patching. We could have got it there, but I was like, I know that that's not the best way or the right way. So just do it right. Just do it right. Like, or I'll never be happy. We can never, when we done that before and we tried to patch systems and patch things in and integrate, and when we move again or scale up again or do something, there's always another patch, and we just have one system that was more clean, but it helped our business massively. So everything now is so smooth. It's all one platform for everything we use, from tills to online to wholesale.
And so tell me this, and did you get all this right in store number 1 first before you then got to store 2? Or?
We never got this all right in store 3.
Yeah, right. So what had you got right in store 1 that then propelled you to store 2?
We got our system, our customer loyalty system right, which we could actually retain data for stock in, stock out, and what customers were doing and spending and who. That was right.
Also means that, well, we go back to the triplicate books and phoning people up. Well, now we could just go, that product, who buys that, drag it out, text them with a deal. So you're working a lot faster. You're hitting probably everyone at a time.
We would sit and press a text and wait at that phone.
Yeah.
Like that.
Right.
Just waiting for it.
Yeah.
And then when it just...
But we had no website.
Yeah.
So it was like, nowadays it's about a link. Like you don't see a lot of it, and a lot of it's automated. A lot of it just works itself. But then it wasn't. It was still very hands-on, and they would have to be processed through the phone.
Yeah. How quickly did the phone ring then after you sent the text?
It would depend. Sometimes they bombed, but
you were waiting for a while.
Yeah, that's marketing. Wow. Yeah. That's where you learn that.
That's it. Yeah.
So you just have to keep trying. I think we were not scared. We were never scared of failing, but none to lose.
Yeah.
So we just like, well, if that didn't work, try something else.
But by this point in 2017, 18, we had the ranges in. We had how we wanted to work. We had the identity starting to be created. And that's when we went and took Morningside shop.
No, but before that, we moved the small shop in Leaf to the slightly larger shop just 5 doors down. And I remember we moved all the stock into that new shop, and it was like a quarter. I don't think I've got enough money to fill the rest of the shop. You actually put a card for the door months ago.
Yeah, it was like sitting derelict, and I just wrote it. Because when we started the Snowball, when we started doing everything right and stuff like that, it started moving quite quick. And I was like, we've outgrown the shop, because the shop was tiny. So I wrote a letter and put it under the door and just says, no one's in this, I'll take it. And the guy came up and was like, that's you? I was like, yeah. He was like, would you want it? And that was it.
We said yeah, and I didn't sleep for about 3 days thinking, how am I going to pay for that? But yeah, we were like, yeah, of course. We'll just wing it.
Yeah.
What was your customers' perceptions then in terms of, it was your mum, and then there's just these 2 young lads are coming in and ringing me and texting me, like, what customers say?
But we weren't bombarding them. We weren't like Groupon. But it was like, it's not even that. Text costs money, and we didn't have any money at the time. So we were only doing them very specific. If you bought that, you were getting
yes,
text.
It was a very relevant communication.
Very relevant
and
offer.
they're not going to be angry at that.
Yes.
But what were they? What was the general feel? Were customers like excited about new blood, or were they like, oh?
Yeah, we also knew them because we were in there for so long, so we knew like a lot of customers. We were very customer facing before, so we would be on the shop floor, so we knew a lot of them. And I think a lot of people just don't in business. I don't think a lot of people like change if they're shopping up there in Edinburgh and they're regular, and that's part of their routine. For them to actually come down to like a new part of, like for them, a new bit of life, make a new routine was quite a privilege to us, because we're thinking, well, that's a big change for some people. Or you could park up there at least, but on Leaf Walk, well, to be fair, you could park on Leaf Walk when we moved. There was was bustling and there was no trams. So,
Yeah.
but to actually make that change was big. That's why we were so. It was really well received from a lot of people. Obviously, some people were going, it was a lot handier for me being up there because I used to work around the corner and XYZ. But I get that. Like, what'd you do? Like, we had no choice.
Yeah, well, you were growing, right?
Yeah, we were trying to survive.
Yeah, yeah.
And we were like,
So you go store one in here down Leith,
Yeah.
and then store two was in
Morningside.
Morningside. Okay, and then from there,
We opened up store.
no, it was dog grooming we took on them.
Yeah, that was when we started dog grooming then.
It's a service.
okay,
So basically, we opened the shop and there was a big cupboard at the back,
right,
and I went, "That could be a dog groomer's.
right.
We are not dog groomers."
Me and Craig had, I reckon, zero knowledge at this point of dog grooming. We just thought, that could be a dog groomer's, right? You're right. And then we went home, sorted it out, chatted for a bit, and we were like, yeah, we'll do that.
Watch some YouTube videos.
That'd be fine.
And then that was it. Yeah, now we do in excess of 1,000 services a month.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow. So did you guys do the grooming, or did you get someone in straight away?
That would have been game over.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, we've got senior stylists, we've got a sort of training, we can bring people through it or just out of college to get them up to speed. And our whole focus on dog grooming, we were quite lucky that we're not dog groomers, is we had a focus on customer perspective and stylist perspective. A lot of people, and I'm sure most dog groomers won't mind me saying this, but they want to be a dog groomer because they don't want to deal with people. They want to work with dogs, work with animals.
They love it.
And they love it. And so we focused on treating the stylists as artists and what would they want to do. So what would you want to take away from the current situation? So we got like digital, they can book it online, which it sounds normal, but it's not all that common. We took away all the phones. We've got front end staff. We've got office staff that prioritise their diary.
Yeah, they've got apps.
Reminders so customers will get a text 3 days before it's coming up in 3 days, and you can cancel it now. We've got, if the customer no shows, we charge them, so it protects their salary.
Yeah.
We focus purely on the stylist perspective, and if we can then take out all the boring stuff and allow them just to focus purely on the grooming, then the grooms are quality, the dogs are happier, the clients are happier. We've got an 85% retention rate for it. So
Brilliant.
And retention rate's really important for our whole company.
Yes.
Like, it's not, we've got the destination brands, we've got the clean brands, we own a lot of what we do. It's not the initial sale anyone can sell someone anything. It's when you live up to your side of the bargain and they come back for it. That means that you've sold them a product one time, they're happy with it, and then they come back. That means that you've lived up to your side of it. That's important.
You see that now. We always wanted customers off the store, off the brand. Like, so they buy the food that we make and the treats that we bring in, and they take the dog to the grooming salon, and they just come to us for, the customers of the whole brand. So they're not just a grooming client or a dog food client. We try and have someone who uses all the services we offer. And that was I think one of the most important things we found out about grooming was it does help retain a client and offer that additional service. And we could just have the groomers focus on their craft and give them tech. Same with our company when we implemented tech just to make everything easier. It just followed the same, bringing in grooming into the company. It's actually been, that allowed us to remove the sale of animals, because that filled that space and and that income. So it helped us massively. And also dogs is our biggest market. So we have more dogs coming into the store. It means they have more chances to speak and learn about the different brands that we sell, and they're there, like they're in. You're not trying to get them through an email or a text. They're in the shop.
Here's a question: Who are the higher spenders, dog owners or cat owners?
Dog.
Higher consumers. It's a bigger animal.
Dog.
Yeah.
They have to eat more.
Yeah, in terms of food, but if you take away food, in terms of on other things like treats and toys and stuff, still dog.
Yeah.
About 90% of cat customers or cat owners in the UK are through grocery.
So they'll go to like a
there's
supermarket.
good
Yeah. Cats are incredibly fussy. You might try and get them on the best stuff ever, but if they don't eat it, they won't eat it.
Yeah.
Right. They're picky.
Right.
Huh. So, you mentioned the going to the cash and carry. At what stage, what was the process then from then beginning to start to develop your own line and brands?
It's quite a large one. It was quite a big time gap because cash and carry, we only actually went there because they wouldn't give us credit.
Or we couldn't afford the order.
So they wouldn't give us money to get and then deliver it. So we had to go and get it, or they wouldn't have enough to hit the minimum order for delivery. Even if we were paying it up front, we'd never had enough to get it. So that was why we went for so long, because we were sort of just like firefighting, just ticking away. Yeah, but to bring our own brands in was probably, was it after COVID?
Yeah, so we opened, from Morningside, we then opened up Stockbridge middle of COVID.
Mid-COVID.
We got a whisper about that shop on, I think it was the April or the May. I think everything shut down in the February of 2020. And we just went, take it.
Reviewing that mid-lockdown.
Yeah. We were like, we'll take it. We tried to get a shop there for a while. A shop that's opposite Starbucks, away up the top. It's now an art gallery. We thought we had that, and it fell through.
Right.
And then we got a sniff on that shop, and we were like, right, 2 feet in, let's do it.
Take it.
Took it.
Decorated it in the middle of COVID.
Yeah, we weren't sure if we were allowed to build the shop, but we sold food, so effectively once it was open, it was essential. So we just kind of pretended that we didn't really know much.
We didn't actually know much. That was the thing.
Well, no one did.
Anyone did.
Yeah.
They were just, and it was just us two anyway. And we're like, so we just,
and that was amazing. And it was right, and that was, a lot of places were really sort of holding back. No one really knew what was happening.
Yeah.
But because everywhere was closed, a lot of people were on furlough and everything like that, we just opened. And we then became part of people's daily walks.
Yeah.
It was like, I'll go get a takeaway coffee from a window, and then I'll go and get the dog a treat because they're open, and I'll walk around the park, and then I'll head home. It was the easiest way to establish it.
time to be alive.
Yeah. And then we've got like the side of the building all graffitied. We've got like a really nice spaniel on the side.
Yeah.
It's a mural. It's not group treated.
Yeah.
Is that the posh word? Is that a
Well,
mural?
there's a local councillor which isn't too pleased with it.
Yeah.
All right. I
But,
see.
It's not, doesn't like art. Hates graffiti, doesn't like art.
yeah.
That's why it's a mural.
Yeah, that's why it's a mural.
Okay.
It was really nice though, but immediately people were just taking photos of it.
Yeah.
And we got the windows wrapped, and and that was one of the best things we ever done. It was that shop.
It was amazing.
Was it really? Why?
Stockbridge opened that door at Stockbridge and was instantly heaving. I mean, that time as well, we were already snowed under because we set up a website. I remember there was natural progression of the tech. We got our self-shot, we'll go open, go launch online. So we'll launch online. This was what, 2017-ish? Must be. And we're like, bought a website, it cost us an absolute fortune, got a company to make it. We're like, we'll go online and we'll be loaded. Easy. Like, and that was us. We opened this website and it was like nothing. Nothing came through it, ever. It was the worst.
We didn't know e-com.
Didn't know how to manage it, didn't know how to integrate stock levels, like we didn't know how anything worked, like so computer systems, how to get that to talk. It was just an absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
And then we moved all new systems. We took all our website building things in-house. We build all our systems in-house now. And we just launched that a couple of months or maybe a quarter before COVID. COVID hit and we went, everyone panic bought. We had,
They were the good days.
People were buying, instead of one bag of food or something, they were buying like 10, 20. And like, I remember like everyone was off. It was me and our manager, Gemma, who's been with us for ages. And me and her in the shop, and the orders were just like, we were sitting there going, I don't know.
How did you manage the stock levels then? Because did that take you by surprise?
We were just on the phone to suppliers,
Just constant.
get
Gimme.
it here now.
Yeah.
We also bumped the stocks up, so our website was live, but we didn't have it.
Some people would be ordering like 6, they'd get 2.
Well, you could blame DPD then.
And then we'd be like, right,
Because you could say,
two
oh,
boxes.
DPD are heaving, but all these people panic buying.
COVID.
Right, you'll get your order,
COVID.
but we've sent it. We didn't even have it.
But to be fair, we were doing it in the right way, and we knew, okay, you ordered 10 bags of dog food and you got 5. Your dog's going to be fine.
Yeah, he's got 5 bags.
He's got 5 bags of food. The 5 will come
When we've got the money.
soon. It's not even the money. Money was the problem at that
Oh,
point.
right,
It was
okay.
stock.
Stock,
We
yeah.
had a small, so in the store in Leaf, we only had the warehouse underneath. We didn't have like our big warehouse now. We just had like a small like overstock bay. So we were, and everyone was off for COVID and during that time, so we were.
Oh yeah, it's from pallet to box.
I was running about like we worked in Amazon. We were just boxes running. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And then we moved. So we built everything in house now, and then we opened Stockbridge.
Yeah. But we got lucky with that.
We
so
did.
we only opened up Morningside and started trying to open up other shops, making sure we had a website, making sure we offered next day delivery, all this kind of thing. Because we seen what the trams done to the business before we took over and decimated it.
Yeah.
And we got a warning saying, oh, by the way, the trams are coming. So we sat down and we gone, right, we need to build a business that can sustain the trams if not one person can come in the shop. So how do we do that?
Yeah.
So it was all about,
Great
as I said,
question,
getting the
ask.
deliveries ready. We had the warning. We seen what it does.
Yeah.
So if we didn't move forward then, I keep saying it, we're very, very lucky. But we prepared for the trams. But just by happening to prepare for the trams, you had the other shops, you had the website, then COVID hit and we grew 800%.
Stunning.
That's great.
We could have we did have the option. We said we're either going to we grow our way out of this if it's a big issue, or we're going to just knuckle down, like just batten down the hatches and just be like, okay, cut everything. We'll just run it. We'll scale up after. Like if it got that bad, we just try and get all the expenses away, and we'll just batten down the hatches and see if we can survive this.
Mm-hmm.
But then we thought, well, no, we'll just try and grow, so it's not a problem. But yeah, we were very lucky, and we used luck. We worked pretty hard.
It's interesting. I'm just kind of jostling in my mind there. You've talked about kind of jumping in with both feet, and you're acting a lot on instinct, it seems, on some things. Yet you've also got that real desire for the data.
Yeah.
Well,
do you know? And it's interesting how those two they're opposites, but they kind of
Yeah, so
work together.
I was always really data focused on okay, who's buying what and when, what's the frequency of what can we offer? So if we have, I don't know, 10 customers who buy that every 4 weeks, my thing was managing data is how do we upsell to buy XYZ also and make sure we have that in stock every 4 weeks? And that was the problem with COVID. Mm-hmm. We didn't want to take in loads of new custom because at that point we were selling our own brands of food and some other foods that I didn't want to make sure our loyal customers were out of. Can't sell your own, or a lot of people probably don't know it's our own because it's all different brands in our shops. But if we sell out of that, they can't get it anywhere else. So I wanted to try and knuckle down and make sure that was available all the time as well. That was one of the big challenges, especially looking at the data.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But jumping in 2 feet, I don't know. Maybe we were just naive as well.
If we're speaking about jumping in with 2 feet, if we're saying, we jumped in with 2 feet for Stockbridge, we've got everyone's postcodes. We know we've got audience there.
Yeah.
If we've got audience, we've probably got lookalike as well. So it's not so much as, there's Edinburgh and a dart and just throwing it at it and saying, I'm going to open up a shop here.
Yeah.
Or that one's pretty. That's not what happens.
Yeah. No, and I guess it's a more of a compliment that says you've got that instinct that says this is where Stockbridge is where it's going to work. You knew that by instinct, I guess. But
there's also a bit of me and Craig we always have this pet talk outside these places like Stockbridge, and I was like, just play it calm, play it cool. We'll see if we're interested. We'll go, and Craig goes, we're buying it. It's amazing. We'll take it. And it was like not even a discussion about how much this is. We'll take it. All right, that'll be us taking it.
But on that then, what's it like working as brothers?
Yeah,
It's good. We never argue really.
Nah,
we call each other some choice words. And then like anyway, we'll say we'll just have the office just now, and then we'll just call each other.
But it's not like we're arguing because we both want the company to be worse.
Aye.
You're arguing because you genuinely think you're right and wanting the company to be better. So it's important that you voice up.
Can't have two people agree on everything all the time, or you're never going to get. But we're aligned in maybe what to go.
Yeah.
So we don't really. It's
Do you have a system of who does what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Brick, click.
Brick and click.
Craig will,
Excellent.
Craig's. I'll do all the systems and stuff like that. I mean, I'm naturally very lazy, so like, not like that.
Ross has got a superpower. Always say it. He's the laziest.
You can't see that.
Yeah, I've ever met.
Right.
If there's a quicker way to do something system-wise, I'll find it and we'll sort it out that way. Craig will quite happily like get mucked in with pallets and that. I couldn't think it any worse.
Yeah.
That's
But
great
I
though.
could sit at a computer for 10 hours a day. I'd be fine. Happy as Larry. Put computer, sorting out loads of stuff. Craig will quite happy in the way, like operations and making sure that the shops are running and merchandising and having all that the great ideas of just making sure the shops run perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the staff are okay.
Yeah.
So I was going to say, because obviously as your business has grown, you've just accumulated more and more people into the team.
Yeah. So we've got a manager sort of triangle. We've got a general manager and 2 team coaches. Phenomenal staff. Truly phenomenal. Like Kirsty, Karen, Gemma, Abby, our senior stylist. Phenomenal staff. Like cannot say that, and they've been molded. They've not been recruited as a manager.
Yeah.
They've kind of just grown with
in the company.
I think because the company's grown quite rapidly as well, that it was kind of like, right, this is gut feel, this is what we need. We need someone to right, you need to come off the shop floor. You've got an office now. Like this is how we're going to start working.
People have got our backs. Like they've got our backs.
Yeah.
Like, just as much as we've got them. I feel like we're very lucky. We've put in training plans and apps, and so we know where all the staff are all the time in regards to like their training, and the coaches can go about and see exactly where, like a good overview. I think that was a good thing with systems as well. Just having being able to delegate, so we don't do. We play to everyone's strengths. I think that's always key. You're not going to be great at everything, and as long as you have the person in the right job who is good at it, then you're fine.
So Ross, I'm curious, obviously being a coach myself, I'm interested in your use of the word coach within your team, your 2 team coaches. Why did you call them coaches and not managers?
Because they do the training.
Like,
so we use Miyagi. So they have a digital training program which is worked every week. It means as well that there's nothing worse than everyone's probably had their jobs where you jump into it and you're lacking confidence. And lacking confidence is probably just down to lack of knowledge most of the time. If they're trained and they know the product and they believe in the product, people, particularly in retail, buy from people. They come in, they ask for advice, and you want them to be, because a lot of our brands, they're different to Pets at Home and everything like that. They're all natural, they're all clean. It's important that they understand the brands and why it is, and the confidence to say, we don't do that because that. And that all comes down from training.
We don't want to manage people as well. You want to coach them. We are a family business as well. Like we always have been. So coach is a better word for it. I think that's exactly what we do. We try and coach people, and if they're all very approachable. If they don't know something, we can have the resources for them to learn.
Good. Can I ask, what does your mum think of you now? And
I think she's proud.
Yeah.
She is proud. So, same with my grand's still here as well. So.
All right, good.
Yeah.
Do they walk into the shops?
No, I don't think they know exactly what we do.
All right.
I don't think they know, okay, like we're stuck in an office and we're manufacturing all this stuff over the world and bringing it in and we don't have any suppliers anymore. Because they'll say, how's, them from that company? You go, I've not seen them in years. Because we took the decision when inflation got so bad, we thought, okay, to protect our business and protect our customers, we thought we're just going to manufacture everything we can, from dog collars to harnesses to treats to foods to toys to like everything.
All right.
We own now so many brands in our company, all trademarked, and we bring them in obviously we stock our shops and we do online with them, but so we don't see many people anymore.
Yeah.
And that, I think, and try to explain that to my mum and my gran, we'd be like, why? Why have you done that? And we're like, well, we have full control of everything now. So we can control the product coming in, we can change designs on it to make it better for what we think for the customers, and offer different, different things.
Yeah.
So,
And how have you, or where are some of these things manufactured then?
yeah, a lot of
So it all started in COVID.
Yeah.
So we had a supplier that we got all our naturals from, and I thought that he was making them all. I thought he was picking up raw material from abattoirs, drying them out and sending them. And he was saying, well, demand was soaring. Everyone, we done a thing where we were selling big chewer boxes. So it's basically we thought everyone's working from home, need to keep the dogs quiet, big chewer boxes, massive Facebook ad spend. We were going specific, and they were flying. We were running out of product to put in it. So I phoned them. I was like, "You sent me an order, and like a fifth of it's arrived."
the irony.
And he says,
Brilliant.
he says, "Oh, I'm just trying to spread it between the whole industry, because demand's soaring everywhere." And I was like, "Well, I'll outbid them if possible. I'll buy it and I'll just knock on the price." And he's like, "No, I can't give you it." He's like, "I'm waiting on a container to arrive from Poland." And I was going, "What do you mean?" He says, "Oh, I'm waiting on a container of stuff arriving from Poland." And I was like, right, okay, right, bye. And I was straight on that website trying to find out where
You
about
came
in
right into
Poland.
office running to me, and then we
I was
just
like, "It doesn't even make it."
I was like, right, okay.
And we were on a mission then to find out where about that product was coming from. We found it. We managed to get the biggest lorry I've ever seen driven.
we ordered
because
that.
freight was really expensive then. Freight was like
That's right,
18 grand to get something over. But we managed to get a lorry driven from Poland to us. And that was, we had an unbelievable amount of
That
stock
arrived,
there.
and we had that small unit on Leaf Walk, and we looked, and we were like, it was like an 18-wheel lorry, and it was full, and I was like, I don't think that's fitting. And the guy goes, "Where's your forklift?" And we're like,
Handball.
well, he didn't speak English actually.
Nah,
He just looked at me,
He still-
forklift, and then I was like, "No, I'll get you a coffee, mate."
It's the same guy, he doesn't speak
Still
English.
comes, he just comes.
Same again, double espresso, sit there, speaks broken English to me and then goes away. He's the nicest guy ever.
Yeah, he's not. I spoke to him. He's not got a clue what I said, and I just had to say sorry about 5 times.
And that's the food side of things, is it?
That was
Yeah.
treats then.
Right.
All
Foods
our
began
foods and
manufactured in the
treats-
UK.
Yeah. So
Right.
all our edible items for dogs are in Europe.
Yep.
Like, we don't go anywhere else but Europe for them because the standard's so high.
Right.
But for apparel and things, there's all
Yeah.
different parts of the world.
And then inflation was COVID, everyone's seen it. Things were going up, things were going up, things were going up. Demand was probably going up and they couldn't get stock in. So I remember one invoice we got, and then it was every invoice 3 invoices in a row. There was a price increase. To the point it was like a product that we sold at $5.99, it was now coming in at about £3.40 inclusive of VAT. We got that manufactured and brought over, and it was 80p. Same spec,
VAT paid.
VAT paid.
I was going.
We just needed to buy a container of it. Like, have you ever seen 450,000 poo bags? Or 25,000
But it was
tennis
great
balls?
because we could bring their brands in house with like the whole team who is, experts at selling this stuff for years, and say, "Oh, by the way, that's a great product, but if we just had that bit on it, it'd be brilliant." And we go, "Oh, we'll just add that bit." And we can make these products of the own brand, similar to what we already sold. We had the data on what we sold, what we're selling. We could sort of not mirror them, but make them that what we thought was better. And obviously, they have clear branding. They all had their, SUPs. Were great. So bring them all in, stock our shops for them, and we had full control. We had suppliers that said that you can't stock our stuff on Amazon. You can't do this. You can't discount it.
yeah.
So we had inflation going through the roof.
Yeah.
Dead stock we had and not being able to discount it, or they would put you on stop. And I was, I was like, no, who am I working for?
Yeah. Or these brands that you maybe had like a security with them and say, oh, we've brought out 5 new ranges. You need to stock that all or we're going to give it to someone else. Well, go on then.
Yeah.
I'm going to copy it anyway.
Take all this stuff with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, and then we got South Gyle, which was great, because that's a 6,000 square foot warehouse. So we went from like 700 square foot warehouse. And we moved all of that and we're like, it's going to be so much easier. We had offices built. We had...
Yeah. An office was good because our office used to be underneath in Leith, and the worst office on earth. It was either roasting or freezing. But that all had to get collapsed because we needed space for stock because online was soaring. So Ross worked from home, I worked from home, and then our manager Gemma worked from Leith behind the till. So it was then to get an office where you're all like this.
Yeah.
If something needs said or you need an answer, it's immediate. And that's when we really started seeing the progression in the company. So that was a big jump. All of it was that was
a big jump. We could bring in containers easier then as well.
And so is South Gyle a warehouse or is it an outlet as well?
It's both. So it should have just been a warehouse.
Okay.
We thought we'd put a small shop in so we can bring in a range, display them, and then roll that out. So we're not going into shops and trying to merchandise things there. So that was the idea. And South Gyle's heaving as a shop. It should never have been that busy.
Right.
Just so you don't know though, we shut Morningside. We closed Morningside store because it was too small.
Right.
So I think everyone just made the jump down to South Gyle, and it's got car parking, and we've got 5 dog groomers in there.
So we only had space for 2 groomers in Morningside. So we've now got space for 5, which means if we've got juniors, they can get trained through. Instead of running at capacity, fully trained staff, you've now got that ability to maybe bring someone through, train them up, see if they get them up to speed, and then if they want to then move to Portobello or Leith or Stockbridge.
Yeah, amazing. Guys, what is your guiding principle in business?
What do you mean?
What's your North Star? What do you look at and say, this is a fundamental of my business that I'll never...
Oh, selling good things, like transparently good items. We will never deviate from that.
Yeah, people pleasing can be quite detrimental to a company, especially in retail. If we start doing really natural products, everything's got identity. It runs with the brand of the shop. Everything comes down, and then you start stocking something because it's maybe fashionable at the time, or it's maybe the highest selling cat food is probably one of very low quality. But you wouldn't just put it in. It would just knock off the brand of everything we sell.
Yeah, it's not for us.
Yeah. Amazing. Guys, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story, and we wish you all the luck in the future.
Thank you.
Well done.